Hi, I'm Jeff Blake, and welcome to Total Training for Adobe CS4 Design Workflow. I'm an author and a video presenter, but most importantly, I'm a software user just like yourself. And I'm very excited to present this series to you because what we're going to be doing is taking a close look at some of the products that make up the Creative Suite. Products like Illustrator and Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Flash, and a whole bunch more. And what we'll be doing is taking bits and pieces from each application and running them through a workflow, a print workflow, and then right through into a web design workflow. But we're going to start things off inside Adobe Bridge, where we'll get a handle on Creative Suite-wide color settings, we'll manage some files, and we'll also take a look at a few other bells and whistles. So I hope you're up for all this. Let's check it out. Okay, so let's have a look at Adobe Bridge. Now, I find myself here inside Photoshop because what I can do here inside CS4 is actually launch Bridge from my CS4 applications if I want to. So for example, I could go up to the File menu here and then down to Browse in Bridge. And that, of course, will launch Bridge for me. Or what I could do, of course, is I could go into the Applications folder on the Mac side and look for Bridge, or into my Program files on the Windows side and look for Bridge. All right, once Bridge launches, you'll get the interface here. Now, if you've never worked with Bridge before, essentially what we have is CS4's file management tool. It's sort of the tool that binds all of the other applications together here. So I can work with my files between Photoshop and Illustrator, for example, or InDesign and Flash, for example. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to my Project Files folder. So I find myself here looking at my desktop on the Windows side, and I've created a shortcut to my Project Files folder. So I'll just double-click on that. And what I'll do is double-click on my Chapter 1 folder. And of course, we should see our files there. So go ahead and do the same thing on your side there. Go into your Project Files folder, double-click on Chapter 1, and you should see the same files here. They may take a moment to load in there for you. But the great thing here inside Bridge is I'm going to see Photoshop files, I'm going to see Illustrator files, I'm going to see PDFs, the whole 9 yards here. Now, maybe what I should do is give you a very quick tour of the Bridge interface before we really get rolling. Obviously, in the main window here is where I see all of my image thumbnails. Over in the top left, I have a favorites list as well as a folders list. We'll talk about these guys in just a second. Down towards the bottom, I have filters and we have collections. We'll take a look at those in short order. Way over in the top right, I have my preview pane. Now, my preview pane is empty because I don't have anything selected. If I click on a graphic here, then I get this little preview pane coming up. We'll have a look at him in just a moment as well. And then finally, down on the bottom, we have metadata and keywords. We'll talk about those. Going across the top of the Bridge interface, we have the path to the directory that we're looking at right now. I think of this as almost like breadcrumbs from the website. So for example, I could go back to my Project Files folder and choose a different folder if I want to, or go back into my Chapter 1 folder. Or I could go all the way back to my desktop if I wanted to, and I could go back to my shortcut to my Project Files folder, and then of course back into my Chapter 1 folder. It's pretty straightforward. Now, one of the big things here inside Bridge CS4 is task-based workspaces. Let me show you how this works. Up at the top here, I have Essentials highlighted, but I could also go to Film Strip, and if I click on that, that rearranges my Bridge interface to some degree. So now I have this film strip going across the bottom of the interface. Or what I could do is I could click on Metadata. That's another one. This gives me more of a data-based view of my images. There's another one called Output if you like, or I'm going to click on this little drop down here beside Output. There's all of my workspaces there. So for example, there's another one called Light Table, which is just my thumbnails by themselves, right? So what you can do inside Bridge, and this goes for all of your CS4 applications, by the way, is you can customize your interface, and then you can save those workspaces. So if I go up to my window menu here, and then down to workspace, and by the way, that's going to be the same in Photoshop, it's going to be the same in Illustrator, as well as your other programs. Go to the window menu, and then down to workspace. There's all of my workspaces. I could also create a new workspace if I wanted to as well, and delete and manage my workspaces. So here inside Bridge CS4, I'm just going to go back to Essentials, which is where we started, and that takes me all the way back to where we were.